final arbiter pala eh. Kaya nga sila may final say. Kung ano, paano, ano yung ating saling ng batas. Ano ba siya? Hindi ang House of Representative. Mga ano yan, mga mukha ng congressman dyan. Diba? Hindi, nilibak lang tayo dito. Eh, alam ka naman, sugar cane pa natin yan, di ba? Sino mga mukha ng korupsyon na nasambay ng Pilipino? I-comment mo sa baba. Diba? Mga congressman dyan. At pagka naiisip nyo, sino pinakamalakas mahurakot sa Pilipinas? Diba? Karen, huwag naman yan, Karen naman.
In fact, Senator Pam, I believe, has filed a resolution to investigate this already, and it will be proceeded with accordingly by the Senate, for the simple reason that we are hiding nothing and we are not afraid of anything.
Okay. Now, you talked about your career a bit by saying na yung pa na tumanda ako. Which is a very good point. When you started, you became known as a legislator in Congress, as an opposition senator, right? You spoke about corruption. And then now when you open social media and you have critics saying that it's accusing you of being one of the masterminds of a corrupt 2025 budget. So the accusation of corruption against you has come today, not even when you ran for vice president, right? In the past, hindi. Ngayon ka sinasabing corrupt senator.
What's your question, Karen?
No.
Hindi ito unang beses na sinabi yan, Karen. Ngayon lang siguro mas na-highlight dahil ako ang Senate President at naging mainit yung labanan sa Senate Presidency. Usually the Senate Presidency doesn't involve criticisms against candidates running for that post. In fact, this is the first time criticisms have been made against candidates running for the Senate Presidency. This is new for me even in my long years in politics. But what is your question, Karen? I consider it par for the course. Ang importante, hindi totoo, natawag na ako ng maraming bagay sa nagdaang panahon. Most if not all of which have been disproven simply because they are not true. Yung sinabi ng presidente, mahiya naman kayo, actually, I did not feel alluded to. In fact, I was one of the first to stood up and clap. I think you would know who were the ones that took a while to stand up and clap without naming names anymore.
Okay.
Sino yung mga yun? Isang sa bagay, sa bigat ng katawan nitong si Martin Romualdez, kung di siya tumayo, maiintindihan ko na. Mga marami naman yung bulsa niya, baka meron pa nakatape sa katawan niya, no? Kaya, malakas pa. Nagtokwa.
Okay. Then I wanted to ask you this. So,
Yes.
you are introducing a bill banning officials' relatives from serving as contractors and suppliers, right? So the intention is good. Pero ang
Because that is so commonplace already of late, Karen.
commonplace when it comes to congressmen having
That is so commonplace when it comes to congressmen and local officials. In fact, if I recall Senator Lacson's interview recently correctly, he actually gave a number. There are 60 or 65 members of the House who are. I'm not aware of any in the Senate who are either contractors or suppliers. It should be prohibited, Karen. It should be covered by the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act as a conflict of interest. However, the practice has always been to simply divest to the wife, divest to the son, divest to the daughter, and say they have no part in it anymore and therefore they have no conflict of interest. We're trying to stretch that up to the fourth civil degree of consanguinity and affinity, meaning to say, hanggang sa first cousin. In fact, baka nga pwedeng palawigin pa. In the hope, Karen, na kung malayo-layo na at malayo na, pues wala nang control, wala nang influensya, pwede pa nga siyang takbuhan pa siguro kung sakasakali.
Okay, now do you think this will make a difference considering you have word on the street saying ang hinihingi na ng politiko bago pa na itayo yung kali ay 30% ahente sa actual na kontrata? I'm sure you've heard this already, Senator. Will this make a difference?
It will make a difference, Karen, kasi medyo nagbago na daw din yan eh. Kung pakikinggan mo rin yung mga kwento-kwento, hindi na nanghihingi ang politiko. Sila na mismo ang nagpapagawa, Karen. At yan ang sinusubukang iwasan ng panukalang batas na ito. In fact, I got a text from Congressman Sandro Marcos last night, although I slept early. I saw it this morning that he wanted to co-author that measure as well, and I happily agreed to have a counterpart version of this bill in the House.
Okay, now before we leave,
naman makating-anit, pagbabalat, at makakapal na balakbak na parang
before we leave,
Talaga si Sandro, bida-bida. Anak ng tao ka, magagalit sa'yo yung mga yung Kakupingon, magagalit. Yung Pingon, magagalit. Ano pa ba? Mga Gonzales, magagalit. Ano mo yung mga kamag-anak nila yun eh. O sino pa, yung One Rider Marquez, magagalit.
this, the House Speaker said that for the 2026 budget, you will be opening, you will make it transparent. You'll have civil society groups, stakeholders, observe, watch. How are you envisioning this, and will this make a difference?
Karen, again, let me trace back to when I was Finance Committee Chairman. I opened the BICAM. That was the first time that the BICAM was also quote-unquote open. But most of the work, as you will see when the BICAM is open, most of the work are being done by secretariat personnel reconciling figures. So when I opened it, first
In other
day,
words, you mean staff, the team.
there were some media. Second day, wala nang nagpunta because it was basically computing and encoding. I'll try to describe it, Karen. The House there's the NIP. The House amended the NIP and came out with the GAP, the General Appropriations Bill. The Senate will now base its amendments on the GAP, what we got from the House. Now you have to understand, the original document is still the NIP. So when the House amended the NIP, they got from this department, that department, moved it to this department, to that department.
Mababang kapulungan ang gumawa doon. Kung baga kung may korupsyon at galit kayo sa amendment, sinasabi niyo, Senator, mababang kapulungan ang gumalaw noon.
Yung unang parte, Karen, yung GAP. Now, when the Senate comes, they will review the proposal of the budget of the House through the GAP, and will base amendments on their amendments. So, kunwari, yung sweldo, ginawang ganito, ginawa dito yung...
Senator, I lost you. You're on mute.
Sorry, no, I'm not.
Go on. Okay.
Dadagdagan pa lang o babawasan at baka sabihin namin, maling bawasan to, dapat kunin to dito, mas hindi kailangan. So, when the BICAM meets, it's actually the staff who will work more often than not to try to identify